This episode of the Hometown Holler podcast is brought to you by Down Home, North Carolina. Down Home, North Carolina is building power for working people all across our state because no matter who we are or where we come from, we all want the same basics. Strong public schools, safe and affordable homes, clean air and water, and the freedom to see a doctor when we're sick without falling into debt. Down Home is organizing to make that shared vision a reality in every corner of North Carolina. Learn more and get involved at downhomenc.org.
North Carolina State Highway Patrol.
What cigarette do you smoke, Doctor?
A contributing factor to our juvenile delinquency of today.
Rock and roll has got to go.
And welcome back to the Hometown Holler. I'm Daniel Ayers.
And I'm Quinn Ray. Well, hey, man.
I just realized 30 seconds ago.
Yeah?
Something that you and I have in common.
I mean, we have a lot of things in common, Daniel.
But we've never talked about this one.
Oh, man. You like Pokemon trading card game?
Nah, dude. This is so much cooler than that.
Okay.
We can get like 10% off at Subway now.
Oh, why's that?
We're veterans.
I mean, don't put me in stolen valor.
The war on Christmas. We grew up in Burlington, man.
Yeah.
We were on the front line with our Christmas parade before Thanksgiving.
We were.
Everybody else is like waiting till after Thanksgiving to do Christmas. And our community was at the forefront of pushing Christmas ahead of Thanksgiving.
Well, and it's about to happen in a couple of days.
Yeah. So this is like my segue into a rant that I don't know if I did it on the air last year. It really irks me that Burlington does the Christmas parade before Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
But you're cool with that.
I don't give a shit.
Yeah.
I mean, it doesn't bother me.
The fact that you don't care about that is mesmerizing to me.
The thing that I think about with the Christmas parade is my daughters are in it with their dance troupe. My wife is doing the Alamance Service League holiday bazaar, and so I'm soloing it.
Yeah.
And I would prefer not.
No, you're not soloing it.
No, I got
Jim Beam and
well, and it's
Jack
also cool.
Daniels.
It comes right across in front of the studio, so it's also really nice to be able to have a bathroom and hang out. And
anyway,
come to the liquor cabinet.
Senator Batch, I'm going to put you on the spot. Christmas parades. Do you have a strong opinion on should they be before or after Thanksgiving? There is a right answer.
Definitely after.
Thank you.
Thanksgiving is my favorite holiday. And
it's a great
Christmas
holiday.
is all about commercialization of every single thing that you possibly imagine. So I just like Thanksgiving more than Christmas.
Why is Thanksgiving your favorite holiday?
Because there's no expectation that you have to do things, and you get to be with, in theory, the people that you love the most in life, right? So all of my siblings come home, and it's all of my favorite foods. So it's also the best food of the year, in my opinion. But
so Thanksgiving dinner was also kind of like Christmas dinner for me.
Different for me.
It was always pretty much. I mean, we didn't have a big turkey, but everything else still was relatively the same.
That's fair. I mean, ours is somewhat similar in that regard as well. But I don't get me wrong. I do love Christmas, and I love the lights, so long as I don't have to put them up. So
that's so true. Me and my wife got in an argument about that today. She's like, "We're doing icicle lights." I'm like, "No, we're not." She's like, "It's because you don't like them. The girls want them." I'm like, "You win. You're right. You're right."
Right. I mean, I actually asked for lights for years at my house, years and years and years, and then I ended up the winter that I had breast cancer, my husband, I come home one day and he lit the entire house out. And beforehand, he would tell me, "Oh, you don't need any lights. We are not doing that. I'm not killing myself." And then I got home and I just started crying because the entire house was lit up, and it was the best Christmas in all of the craziness and insanity.
That's like a
of going
Hallmark
through
movie
treatment.
right there. That's
like
like
awesome.
a moment, you know.
Awesome.
And yeah, absolutely. Wow.
Until he told me that he almost fell off the roof and almost killed himself. I was
Christmas
like,
Vacation.
That is,
Clark Griswold.
I was like, I actually need you to work. You're my law partner. All of our money is caught in our law firm. I'm going to need you to not do that again. But I still get some Christmas lights every
I can
so
see the
often.
commercial. Have you been injured installing Christmas lights? Were the lights were they colorful, or was it like the gold or the
Oh,
white?
I only do the white.
Yeah,
white clear. I don't do
On outside.
on outside.
But what about your Christmas tree inside?
As a kid, we only had the very colorful ones. Inside
Yes.
now, I just have the white ones.
Oh man,
They're easier to replace.
and
That is true.
And here we go, talking about Christmas
I know
before Thanksgiving.
Yep.
And that's where we're at. But I'm really excited about today.
Yes, this is gonna be a lot of fun. So earlier this year, we had speaker. No, it's not speaker. Boy, we had
cool.
yeah. Well,
A
we
girl
had,
could dream. Lita Reeves.
Well, yeah, we had Lita Reeves. Thank you, Lita Reeves on the show. And so today we're rounding out the bicameral. We're getting the full experience with the Senate, right?
Yes.
With Senate Minority Leader Sidney Batch, and you currently represent Wake, right? I'm taking a leap there.
Yes.
This is me like diving into the archive of my North Carolina politics knowledge, and not Wake County. Does your district extend any? Because I know in the Senate sometimes you get districts that are a little wonky.
Yeah, no, I've served in 4 different districts, despite the fact there's been only one redraw that should have occurred. But I've been there for 4 terms now, and it's all in Wake County. It's just either southern Wake County or different parts. Right now, I'm all the way up in a very different part of Wake County when they redrew me into a safe district.
A safe district. I mean, so you can say whatever you want to say.
Well, I was probably saying everything that
I think that's why
wanted
they
to
were
say
trying.
beforehand. So, yeah, they told me, when they did that last redraw, they said, we have a couple of options. We can either spend a lot of money and $3 million on you and potentially lose again, or we can just give you a safe district and be stuck with you. And now I'm leader, so I guess they regret being stuck with me. But here we are.
And when you're not the North Carolina Senate Democratic Minority Leader, you are a family law attorney, social worker, and also an avid fan of Christmas lights.
Yeah, exactly.
All the things. So let's start off by talking a little bit about you've spent more than 2 decades in family and child welfare law. Which, by the way, sounds like one of the most stressful types of law a person could practice.
Absolutely.
I think all law is probably stressful, but like that's probably more stressful than like real estate, maybe. I would venture. But I'm curious, how does that daily, like on the ground experience dealing with families and children, and I feel like if you nobody sees an attorney on their best day, right? It's usually in a pretty stressful circumstance, right? How does dealing with people in those situations inform your approach to influencing or crafting policy in the General Assembly?
What an icebreaker.
Yeah, tell me about it. So spending the last 2 decades dealing with diametrically opposed people every single day of my life and my career, of them in the worst time in their lives. So whether or not they're talking about child custody or equitable distribution or foster care and child welfare, which is what I really love, I think that I have a very different perspective than a lot of the people that I serve with. If people have not been down to the General Assembly, most of them are retired and do not have necessarily...
Most of the people you serve with are retired.
That I serve with are retired, And so they just have a very different concept. My first year of being sworn in, my sons were 5 and 7, and then Representative Clemens, which was my seatmate, my really good friend who has left the legislature, all of our kids were there, all 5 of us, right? And they were sitting there, and they were young. And the prayer in the house was, let's pray for all the grandchildren in the chamber. Right? You're like, well, some of us have actually birthed children that are in this actual decade, but God forbid, here we are. And so there's such a huge, a very different perspective. And I say that because as a family law attorney, I represent people a lot, also dependent spouses who are going through divorce, have stayed at home, have been homemakers, don't have a career and a resume that they can build on, but have to start their lives over. They get cut off of their spouse's insurance, don't know necessarily how they're going to make ends meet. And then I'm representing kids in a foster care system that is underfunded and of course, is oversaturated with so much need and so few people to assist. So when I'm in that building and I'm talking to individuals just about policy, it informs it because I have one foot in the courtroom every single day. I'm a litigator. And then I can also take what's broken within our system, in our court system, and then I can apply that to real policy. And then as a human, having been somebody who has children at a young age when I was serving, I started when they were 5 and 7, I actually knew how much childcare cost. Right. But a lot of the people that I served with said, I don't know why it's a big deal. My wife stayed at home. And I said, well, that's not what I chose to do.
Right, because this is not 1958.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, it was one of those, share the similar story with you with having kids and childcare, because last year I had Governor Cooper called me asking me to run for House District. And I was just like, we can't afford childcare right now. It's just not possible. And I don't have one foot in the courtroom with being a lawyer. So like I work paycheck to paycheck, and it was just a situation that, we talk about it. I think a lot of people on the left talk about childcare as being unaffordable, but for the people that are making the laws, they're praying for grandkids, right? Like, and they don't understand the burden that it actually pays, where when you look into childcare, it can be 2 times your mortgage.
Right.
And going to Raleigh to try to represent the people at $13,000 is just, it's impossible.
Yeah.
But so you're the first woman to lead the Senate Democrat caucus.
Actually, any caucus in the state's history.
Correction, that's a factoid. That's a factoid, guys. So for folks who are just unfamiliar with the structure of the NC Senate, what does it actually mean to lead a caucus? Because my naiveness is like, all right, you're telling us how to the North Carolina Democratic Party, like how to message. This is what we're doing. This is what we're talking about. What is a caucus leader?
Yeah, and I say that in that we're in 2025, and it's the
Which
first
is
time
crazy.
that a black woman has led a caucus, and so I'm happy and I'm honored, but it also is ridiculous because I would also remind people that Democrats were in charge for a really long time in the state until recently. So
Snaps.
we should have been doing a much better job with regards to representation, but I digress. So welcome to my life. So what I would tell you regarding at least the caucus structure, because nobody knows this, right? They're like, what the hell is a caucus? I didn't know what a caucus was until I got
know they
in
have one in Iowa like every 4 years.
Right.
Like a state fair. There's like a butter cow that like Ted Cruz really likes. This is like what I know about caucuses.
We've exhausted the knowledge.
Yeah.
And now we're done.
So now we can start fresh.
Exactly. So the caucus is the equivalent of your team, right?
Okay.
And so I am the head of the Senate Democrats in our caucus. So
Captain.
The team captain. I am the quarterback, the captain, CEO, whatever analogy you want to use. And so in the legislative side, I am the person who, at the end of the day, is, at least the way that I've structured it, I'm making the final decisions, but I, of course, have a team, and democracy is a team, and I believe that everyone in our caucus should be a part of that.
Oh, getting crazy now.
I know, God forbid dictatorships and all. And so I work with our team, but I'm the one who, at the end of the day, has the heavy lies the crown. It's the idea of whatever goes well, I can get credit for. What doesn't go well, I don't get credit for, or I get blamed for, rather. And then ultimately, I am the in the wonderful orchestra, I'm the person that's trying to conduct everything. On the campaign side, because people don't realize that they're two really different arms. There's a legislative job that I have to do while serving and being leader. And then there's the campaign side where I'm supposed to go out there, raise money for our caucus, get help with recruiting candidates, and making sure that our messaging outside of the building is really effective. And so there are two very different jobs that I have to put different hats on. And so I have more diplomacy in the building than I do outside. And you just have to figure out what hat you're wearing that day.
What made you decide to run for caucus leadership? Like, I mean,
Do you run for? Is it like is it like a nomination thing? Like, how do you become a leader of a caucus?
Yeah, so it depends. So usually it's one of the situations where someone either asks you, it is definitely an election unless it was by acclamation. So I was appointed by acclamation. So everyone in the caucus said, yes, we want you to be leader. I was deputy leader last session, and what I found is I have a very different leadership style than our former leader, Senator Blue. And I just felt that there was a different strategy that we could take and that we needed to be more bullish. And so there are some things that I implemented last year that I wanted to do more of. And when we were talking about what the next chapter of our caucus is going to be and the direction that our state needed to go in, I had different ideas, and I just felt like we needed to try things differently. And so when I talked to my caucus, and again, Senator Blue and everybody else by acclamation said that I should be leader, I told them, I said, I can't promise that I'll do it better. I'll just do it differently. And in doing it differently, I hope that we do it better and we have better outcomes.
Let's linger on that bullish right now. And what does that mean? Because as a minority leader, right, you're not setting the agenda. It's really hard to get legislation passed.
And there is in the Senate, I believe, a super minority.
Right. Exactly.
So like, unlike in the House where there's a majority, the GOP has a majority in the Senate, they have a super majority in that they can there is a reliable override vote for a governor's veto in the Senate, at least in theory.
Right. If all the Republicans
vote as
stay
a
in line
block.
and lock
Yeah.
and stay in lockstep, which they do all the time, and just vote the same way, then yes, they can go ahead and override the governor's veto, which they have done 8 times this year.
That's right, 8 times, which is also crazy to think. Just because I remember when the election happened, everybody was like, "Oh, we saved the governor's veto," but what does bullish mean to you? Because you're not able to come to the table with legislation to try to pass because you're instantly getting shut down. So can you just kind of describe your leadership style and what that means?
Yeah. So leadership style within our caucus is that I know that we have one of the most talented and smartest caucuses in the building. So I don't have to be the head of everything. I really do think it's a team sport. I want people to excel and do best in what they can achieve and what they are the smartest in.
Hashtag delegate.
She said one of the smartest caucuses, and I guess there's 4.
There's
but,
4. So,
so
I'll say smartest caucus then.
I see where you were going when you said it.
I'm just saying. And I will say, as a factoid, we have one of our members, Senator Salvador, who was the commencement speaker at MIT, having graduated with her MBA this year while she was working full time and has 2 small children. So when I say we're the smartest, I mean we got a lot of badasses.
You don't do that if you're a nincompoop or a ninny muffin or something.
God forbid we talk.
Those are Christmas insults. It's like from Elf, Cottonhead and Ninny Muggins. Like that's hilarious. But you mentioned bullish, but it also seems like your style is lowercase d democratic.
Right, exactly. So I when you walk into a room and you know where we're in caucus, I sit in the same seat that I was sitting in last year. I don't sit at the head of the table. Really, I'm like, I want you to walk into a room and there's enough sunlight for everyone. I want everyone in our caucus to do well and to do what they are passionate about. So you can walk in a room, and I hope that my leadership style looks like you don't know who the leader is, right? We are a team. Now, there's a very different strategy when we are outside, and so then I sometimes have to be the mouthpiece at my own. People don't probably believe this, but I'd love to be a wallflower and just do the hard work, and I'd be behind the scenes, but I'm being forced to be in different positions. But when I say bullish, there are 2 different things. So legislatively, what we do is instead of just coming in on the floor and just voting no all of the time, we needed to, and I felt like there was an appetite in our caucus for us to be a lot more aggressive with regards to our floor speech, with regards to the run of show and what happens and how we orchestrate things and run amendments. So, as you said, we can't control what comes to the floor, but we can control what amendments we file. And so what we have done is we've taken a lot of our really great policies that we have great ideas on, and we put them forward and we vote for them, and the Republicans vote against them. And so we're showing people what we would do if we were in charge, and we aren't just allowing them to steamroll over us. We also have a very orchestrated run of show with regards to whatever bills are occurring. So we have, if anyone was paying attention, the redistricting, every single person who wanted to speak spoke. But we make sure that people aren't repeating the same things that you've heard 12 different times. We have topics that people are assigned. It could be an issue. And also, you need to stay on message, right? So we have an amazing staff. I have amazing legislative staff that works tirelessly to make sure that we support our entire caucus. And my comms director, Eddie, is really great at making sure that we all stay on track and we're on point. And then when I tell you I run a show, I'm not joking. Right? Like there is this person talks, then this person talks, then this person talks, then this is what amendment's going to be run, and this person talks. I'm very intentional about the fact that as a team, we decide what the plan is, but then we execute that with fidelity.
It's like a batting order, making sure your third person that's batting.
There's a reason they're going third.
Right, and you get your cleanup at fourth.
Yeah, you're like, who's on deck? So we have a lot of strategy, and we take a lot of time and intentionality with what we're doing because we know that people want to see us fight. And so the second part of the bullish strategy is that we've just done things where
You show up with a pocketbook full of $10 bills.
Yes, and maybe throw them up and show. And we've researched what the law is from 1787. A lot of the things that people see happen.
What was this? I missed this one. Is this like a thing that happened?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. So she showed up to the Senate floor with a wad of $10 bills.
Wow.
Because it was like a fine or something, $10 fine, and so she had a $10 fine ready to pay for each one of the caucus members.
Nice.
And so basically, we voted present. And
Hamilton would be proud.
We didn't want to vote yes or no. They bastardized a bill. We weren't going to pay attention to them. I say all the time, people are like, well, why'd you guys either walk off the floor? And we did this on one of the bills. And I said, I'm going to tell you the same thing that my pediatrician tells me when my son decides to go ahead and have a temper tantrum. And that would be that you don't engage with them. You walk away. You ignore the bad behavior. You don't reinforce it. And so there are many times that we have decided to have a very different strategy than what has happened before. So last year or the years before, we would talk and we would run some amendments, but we weren't particularly aggressive with any of that. And I didn't think that was a good use of our time, right? A lot of my members are giving their best years of their lives up, still raising families, and giving up their careers and the lucrative time in which they can make money to serve. And they have to feel like there's a reason why we're doing that. And the public, it really has that hunger, right? They want to see us actually fight. So it doesn't mean that we're going to be able to stop a bad bill from happening, but it doesn't also mean that we should just roll over and be doormats and allow for them to run roughshod over us. And so that's one of the legislative strategies.
I know that there's really no reason that the majority party would need to consult you, but I'm curious if that ever happens. Do you actually have Phil Berger reach out to you occasionally, maybe not even ask your opinion on something, but say like, hey, this is going to happen. And like, just want to let you know, is there any channel that's open? And I mean,
no, not with him.
Not with him. Yeah.
He's not a fan of mine. He's made that pretty clear.
Yeah.
He recently said she's getting the respect she deserves. And every single fucking woman that has ever been known in the history of being alive and being successful has had some man say some shit like that to her. The good thing is I don't care for the opinions of people I don't care for. So it does not affect me, and I just keep it moving. And it's not my job. His opinion of me is none of my damn business.
Sure.
Say whatever the hell you want, but I'm going to do my job. And so I think a lot of what ends up happening is I do have really good relationships with Senate Republicans. They have to be quiet because they otherwise get in trouble.
Right.
Senator Rabin and I have conversations. He'll tell me about what's happening, or hey, this is going to come up, et cetera. So we've built a good rapport with one another. Senator Berger and I, not so much. And it is what it is. You know what I haven't done? Lost one damn minute.
It doesn't seem like this bothers you.
She's just such
I do not care. And it's funny because a lot of people will be very sensitive. But again, I would remind people that I am a domestic attorney and I deal with diametrically opposed people every day. There is very little that can bother me. And I would also tell you in the child welfare space, I've represented parents who are calling me because their kids just tried to commit suicide and they're trying to figure out how to get the help that they need, or a child that drowned and we're trying to figure out what to do with regards to the other 3 children while the mother is, in a hospital. I mean, I've represented children who have been sexually abused by their parents and have to terminate their parental rights. There are real life issues, really heavy, terrible things that happen to people every single day. And so it does not affect me.
Who gives a fuck what Phil thinks?
Exactly.
Right?
I survived fucking cancer. Every single time someone's like, oh, it's a bad day. I was like, but is it cancer?
I was going to ask actually, because it seems like just being in Raleigh would be stressful on its own. And I was going to ask, how do you deal with that? But it seems like
therapy.
Therapy. Okay,
oh,
cool.
Hell yeah.
Therapy is one route.
Absolutely.
But I think maybe therapy is one of the means to get to the destination that you just described, which is perspective.
Right.
Which is just keeping is it cancer, right? Is it child drowning, mom's in the hospital? Keeping all these circumstances in their proper context.
Right.
I would do well to follow that. I could really use that. Because I'm not subjected to a 100th of the stress that the average member of the General Assembly is, and I get so bent out of shape.
I mean, even just the stress of doing this gets
me
bent out of shape.
No, look, dude, we had a post today from the lead singer. He was in Sax Paul recently, the lead singer of Old Crow Medicine Show, guy who wrote Wagon Wheel.
And he didn't write Wagon Wheel, Daniel.
Dude, we posted it, and if 100 people comment, 99 of them are, oh, great that he's talking about how much he loves North Carolina and how he spent some formative years here. It's nice, wholesome content.
Yeah.
But if there's that one comment about, like, he did not write Wagon Wheel, Bob Dylan wrote Wagon Wheel, it is a co-write, blah, blah, blah. I gotta be honest, like, I'm the princess and the pea, or whatever that story is. If they just like, it's the bee in my bonnet. And I need me some therapy is what I'm.
Look, all of us that are in therapy are in therapy for all of those who refuse to go to therapy.
That's right.
So let's just be real clear. We are going for coping mechanisms for all of the asses that will not go to work on whatever shit they're going through. But what I would tell you is that it really is, it is all about perspective, because I even though my other job that actually pays my bill as a lawyer is extremely stressful and very heavy, there is very few times in which anything that happens in the legislature is worse than what happens on just an average day in some of my clients' lives. And I also think that that's the reason why I have better perspective with what legislation we need to move through or what is actually at stake. Because unlike some of my colleagues, I talk to everyday people who are struggling on a day in and day out basis. And I'm closer to what the pain that they're suffering and the issues and the challenges that they face, which is what really informs a lot of the legislation that I support.
That's a great point. Like I was last year we were talking with Dyson about public schools, and
he said on Cooper's education committee. Yeah.
And we were talking about the underfunding and the lack of support and a lot of the criticisms that get leveled at public education, at teachers, at staff, at just the buildings themselves, and people just talking smack. And his point was like, go to Raleigh, go into a committee, go into the Senate chambers or the House chambers. And if you were to ask everyone in there, every representative, raise your hand if you've been inside a public school in the past 5 years. You'd be amazed at how many folks can't meet that test, and yet they're voting on policies that impact our public schools. Or you ask, how many of you have been to a battered women's shelter in the past 5 years, or have talked to somebody who has been impacted or is being impacted now by social services, right? Like, there are a lot of folks who are making decisions in the room, making decisions about those issues that don't have day-to-day exposure. And I think it's so cool that you do.
Right.
This is like a real thing to you. It's not abstract.
Right.
Well, and it just seems so obvious too. It's weird to me to think you know everything, and I know I don't know everything, and so I want to surround myself around people that have these experiences. And like you have the resume to show that I'm working with people in their most vulnerable states, right? And people are just like, yeah, she's full of shit. Like, and it's bizarre to me. Yeah. But we have NC families right now. They're feeling that squeeze, right? Especially we don't have a budget passed. We have looming housing issues.
Well, I should say, as of this recording, we don't have a budget passed. Do we? I mean, this will probably go in a couple weeks. Do we have any reason to believe that will change?
A girl can dream.
Okay.
A girl can dream.
Okay.
Absolutely not. I mean, if people decide, if the petulant children that are running this government into the ground decide to go ahead and grow up and have a conversation, then perhaps we'll have a budget. But since we're not in charge, I'm pretty sure they'll continue to have a spitball fight in the fucking cafeteria.
And the holidays are coming up. Why would you go back to Raleigh?
This is the conversation I've been like. This is the interview I've been wanting to have since we started this podcast.
I mean, it's really awesome too, because we've interviewed a lot of candidates. We've interviewed representatives. We've interviewed senators. We've interviewed congressmen.
Yeah, governor came on.
Governor came on.
Y'all are hot shit.
Well, that was the point you were making, right, Quinn?
That's it. Yeah. No, well, the point being is we've interviewed these folks, and like,
I feel like I'm walking on eggshells most of the time.
Yeah, I mean, everybody's been cool, and it's also different when you get a microphone in front of you, right? Like what you're gonna say, and you are in the public spotlight. Like people are on you, and it's just like, do you even poop? And some of these people you just like, I don't think you do. You walk out of the room and then come back in, don't you? And like you're sitting here just letting them rip. Not really, but
petulant children in the fucking cafeteria
shooting spitballs.
Yeah, that's you had a question, Quinn.
I did. Well, once we got
budget
on the so there hasn't been a budget as of this recording. Right. We have families across our state that are dealing with food insecurities, healthcare insecurities coming up. What can be done, and what can the Democrats, the caucus you lead, what can they do to help this?
So I think we're finally at a point where people outside of their frustration feel like they're being seen and that we are fighting as Democrats, or at least I can speak to that in our caucus. I have people that randomly walk up to me at grocery stores now that I don't necessarily enjoy and say, "Hey, are you Senator Batch?" And I want to ask why first and then be honest. But I'm like, yes, there are a lot of people who said, "Thank you for fighting. Thank you for just speaking out. Thank you for bringing the issues that we have every single day to the table." And so there are two things that I think we do from the political side, which is not my diplomatic hat that I have to wear legislatively. We come up with really creative ways and some not outlandish, but just more in your face ways to go ahead and communicate. So right now, if you went into my legislative office, there is a budget clock that counts up the days, the minutes, the hours, and the seconds of which we have not had a budget. I think today is 129 days that we don't have a state budget.
You don't have to go to her office either. You can follow her on social and see that thing.
Oh yeah, and it has a sign that says Republicans have failed to pass a budget for, and then underneath it. Those are the things that get into the psyche of my Republican colleagues who care more about the opinions of others than I do. And they mention it and they get pissy about it. And then I remind them that what is inaccurate about that. Like, it's the truth.
And to clarify for folks who may be listening for the first time or new to this, Republicans do not need a single Democratic vote to pass a budget.
Right. They run every damn thing in that building, every single thing. The only thing that they have to worry about is whether or not the governor is going to veto, a bill. Well, we haven't sent him a budget. So you can sit there and you can blame the governor, you can sit there and you can blame Democrats, but you are the only people that can force a bill to the floor and you can vote it and get it passed. And so
unlike federally right now, right?
Yeah,
people can say that it's got to take some Democrats to agree with a clean bill to stop, because we're currently in a shutdown. We may not be in a shutdown when this goes out, but it's going to take some bipartisanship to do that
Federally.
Statewide, there's zero.
Yeah, they do not need us. We could literally go home.
I don't think
they don't even need us for a quorum in the Senate. They could, if all the Democrats walked off or decided not to come back to the building, which we continue to show up and they don't, they could pass a budget without us being there.
Wow.
Right? So and so could the House. So let's just be really clear. When people wake up and they don't have nice shit, it's because of a Republican. It's not because of Democrats. We can't even make a mess if we wanted to.
I haven't asked this to any of our guests, which is interesting because we've been recording this during the past 120 days when we haven't had a budget. But why don't we have, what is the fundamental disagreement between the House Republicans and the Senate Republicans? What are they not vibing over?
I mean, if they were being honest, and I think some of them have been more honest than others, they would say that the House realizes that we're going to be at a fiscal cliff and that we're going to lose $2 billion with AB next year and moving forward in perpetuity because of the tax cuts that were passed previously. The Senate Republicans said, we're not renegotiating that. Berger does not want the tax cuts. Now, he will quietly tell people, as I have heard, that he does understand we're at a fiscal cliff. And for those who do not have to deal with fiscal cliff and what that means, it's that, Thelma and Louise style, the state is careening off of a ledge, and we will not be able to pay all of our bills and keep the lights on. We are just crashing.
Sounds really bad.
It is a disaster. It's an absolute disaster. And we don't have $2 billion that will be coming in as revenue. And so the House wants to stop the triggers. And then Berger said, no, I'm not doing that. I want to continue to roll, to cut the taxes, have them continue to get cut, and to eliminate the corporate tax. The House Republicans said, we now realize that we trust the staff that tells us what the budget's going to be and that we're not going to have revenue. And we have to be the adults in the room and say no. So that's one of the biggest fundamental issues as to why we don't have a budget, is because the Berger has said, I'm not changing my mind, and I'm stuck on we're not renegotiating because that was already put into place, and I'm not going to go back and renegotiate. And the House says, new sheriff in town, Tim Moore ain't here, you gonna deal with me. And now they are in fisticuffs with regards to what's going to actually happen.
So if this fiscal cliff is metaphorically right, we're driving towards this fiscal cliff. My understanding is that House Republicans are saying, hey, let's take a little bit of a detour, and that'll buy us time to maybe figure some things out.
Right.
And Phil Berger, as leader of the Senate, which again has a supermajority, is hitting the gas.
Yeah.
And is like, we're going after this cliff.
And we've all seen those videos, right, where there's empty cars and they're in the desert and just shooting them off the side of the cliff.
I actually watch a lot of those YouTube videos because they're
so
so satisfying.
satisfying.
Look at that. They are really satisfying, though.
That's so weird.
There's some part of my brain that just like, that's my therapy.
I was going to say that is very much because I am the only woman in my house. I live with a lot of Y chromosomes. That is very Y chromosome of both of you because my sons would love that. And
I mean, it's
like,
very
it's
Joe
so great.
Dirt style.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm just down with it. So what can the everyday person do to help the cause to? Well, I guess let's back up a few seconds. Not having a budget passed. What does that mean for the everyday person?
Right. So what it means, we have a budget that continues with what the spending levels were regarding recurring dollars from the previous biennium. Right?
So does that mean that what the schools have been getting for the past 2 years, we're just going to roll that into what's happening?
Whatever
now?
happens.
Whatever.
What people don't realize, though, is that there are a lot of projects that get non-recurring funds. So every single biennium, they have to go and kiss the ring of whatever appropriations chair to beg them to give them money. So food shelters, for instance, are usually get non-recurring money. Well, when we don't have a budget, all of the non-recurring money goes away. And I think most people don't realize that the vast majority of the state budget goes to benefits and goes to salaries, right? And then I think the largest part of that afterwards, so 70%, roughly 70% of our budget goes to state salaries and state salaries, and benefits, healthcare for those state employees, et cetera. So we only have 30% of the budget left for all of the other things that we need in North Carolina. Everything else. Infrastructure. Cool. You're talking about, the food banks, the projects that you are thinking about, Medicaid. Like Medicaid wasn't included in that 70%.
Historic sites.
All of your historic sites, the parks that are now closing. Right. So what it means to most people is that if you're a state employee, you are not going to get a raise and you have to live on 2024 income in 2025 inflation. The state health plan just increased premiums for everyone based on income. And so people will be paying more for health insurance. And they will be getting less in their paychecks in theory because of inflation. And so it's extremely difficult when we have vacancy rates in some of our departments here in the state of like 40%. And why would you work for government? You used to work for government because you had really great benefits. You had a salary, you had a 9 to 5, you had the respect of the state and others.
You got COLA.
You got COLA.
All the good stuff,
and all of that has gone by the wayside. And so people can go in the private market, make a lot more money. They can still get really great benefits. And that's why we're having a hard time trying to make sure that we even keep people in government and state government. And let's be real clear, we're talking about teachers, right? They are the ones, they are a very large part of who educates 1 million of our children across the state in our public schools.
Or people that go inspect the state fair, that ride that you want to go ride to make sure that it's safe for you to do it. You know,
you were mad that you were stuck on that damn that damn
tall swing
thing for an hour. Well, you know what? Someone probably
the
wasn't
flying
actually
chairs or whatever.
Yes, the flying chairs.
That'd be the worst. That's like the last place you want to be stuck.
We thought about riding that when we went, and I was like, I saw something the other day about that one.
Yeah, that's not the one you want to get stuck on.
You got to swipe left on that one.
Yeah, that's right.
So what can everyday people do to either get a budget passed, encourage a budget pass, or just come to terms it's not going to pass and we're coming to a fiscal cliff? Like, what should people be doing right now? Should they start hoarding and getting as many canned green beans as possible? Like,
is that what you're doing, Quinn?
I like.
You're asking for confirmation that you're doing the right thing, because I've got a lot of green beans and I need to know.
Find your doomsday preppers and move into their bunkers.
Like where does it come? Because I mean, in North Carolina, one of 2 states that haven't passed a budget. And we're in a federal government shutdown. Like, shit sucks, right? Yeah. So, like, what should people be doing?
So, one, I don't think that doom scrolling is helpful, right? So, people will be apoplectic, as they should. But as my therapist always says, well, once we find out that emotion that you're feeling is no longer helpful and useful to you, you got to move through that and you got to figure something out. So, I understand that people will love to, and I joke about Love Island, but people are just trying to find something
Yeah.
that like they can just be numb to, right?
No, that's so true.
They want to sleepwalk through life because it's harder to live it than it is to just go ahead and turn away.
I do think a certain degree of that is healthy. I mean, I think like we all need some form of escape.
Briefly, yes.
Briefly.
But
I don't think
like-
we need to live there. It's kind of like going on
Right.
vacation. You don't live at Sandals, right?
Right.
You go there for the week, you
But
get
God,
tan,
if
and you
I
come home,
could.
right?
If we could.
So, I mean, I guess I'm saying that as somebody who like, I'm thinking of like 5 ways I escape. As you're saying that, I'm like, but I need those.
Right. But it's different with whether it's a healthy coping
Yes.
mechanism, right? I mean, again, the social worker is coming out of me and my apologies. But what I would tell you is that what we have seen is that people, because they are so frustrated, so upset, depressed, angry, put your emotion on it, they just turn away from everything. And then they're not living life. And they don't want to feel their feelings.
Okay,
Well,
true.
you know what? People need to wake the fuck up. It is a shit show right now. Your life is not great. It's not going to get better for you or your kids unless you do something to change it. And so what can they do in the interim? You can call your Congress. I mean, I'm sorry. Well, you can definitely call your congressperson, but you can call your state representative and say, hey, I want you to go ahead and do the right thing and make sure you pass a budget. But that's not going to move most people.
No.
Elections are going to move people. And what I would tell you is the same thing that I tell people all the time in my analogy with regards to being a divorce attorney, is that if you are in a relationship and you agree 75% of the time, that is a high watermark day. You are in a successful relationship. You're not going to agree all of the time. There are going to be some things that you get pissed off about when the trash doesn't get taken out or someone washed your clothes and they shrunk because you put them in the dryer and they should have been dry cleaned. Whatever.
pissed.
You're very pissed and you might be in the doghouse for a while, but you'll get over it because fundamentally you still love the person and you share the same values and you have the same beliefs. The relationship that you have with your spouse is not that much different than what you have with your politician, because your elected representative is someone who is supposed to meet your needs and is supposed to make your life easier. And so if you are in a situation and you look at that elected and you say, do you share the vast majority of my values? Are you putting more money in my pocket? Are you helping me keep more food on my table to feed my kids and my family? And am I able to say at the end of the day that I am proud with the decisions the majority of the time that you're making for me and my family? And if the answer is yes, then you know what? You continue to go ahead and you have that relationship and you say, I'll vote for that person the next time. What I will tell you is that as a divorce attorney, it's much cheaper to divorce your politician than it is your spouse. And you are very much able to do that every single 2 years. And so remove the Democrat and Republican title of whoever the hell is representing you. You look at what they stand for and what they vote for, and all of us have a voting record. And it's very easy for us to tell you how people voted. And if they aren't voting for making your life better, and at the end of the day, they're just taking up space and making your life more difficult by not being an adult and passing a budget, then perhaps it's time for you to give somebody else a shot at the damn job because they're a disaster and they need to go.
I mean, and this is so wild to me because last year we passed a budget, maybe the year before, but prior to that, we went 3 years or so without a budget. Like, this isn't new to us. And I honestly feel like Phil is doing this he knows that fiscal cliff is coming. And so if he doesn't pass a budget, everything kind of just stays the same. He doesn't have to increase teacher salaries. He doesn't have to accelerate that cliff. He's using it to kind of suppress what is about to happen. And I don't know, man.
Well, it's the whole like starve the beast thing.
Yeah.
Right. Where it's like we're going to engineer the system, in this case, government, right? Our civil institutions, our public institutions. We're going to set them up for failure so that when they do fail,
We can point to them.
justify destroying them, demolishing them, stripping them for parts, right? I mean, that's the whole. Thank you, Ronald Reagan. Like that's
Right.
that's the play, right? Like we're just So
how do you put on your, I don't want to say game face, but what allows you to, other than therapy, get up every morning and go to Raleigh and fight for the people of North Carolina? But I mean, your constituents are Wake County. What is that motivating, burning factor that keeps you doing this? You have kids. You could have a nice life without, submitting to this type of masochistic.
I think
lifestyle.
you had it right the first time.
Yeah,
Yeah, I mean, it was my
That was your George Bush's
George
Monday
Bush
episode.
stuff.
We have one at least. It's like a monthly. Sometimes.
I mean, it happens, right?
Favorite so far was Divicity. Divicity was a really good one.
In front of a president of a university.
Yeah.
And I was like, man, that's stupid.
Oh, no. The best one was Exacerbated.
Oh, Exacerbated.
That was the best one.
Yeah.
When a situation gets worse.
Yeah, I'll let
Actually,
you I'll let you watch.
You're just a higher order thinker. You're putting really two important words
That's right.
together, and you're just
like
combining
her.
them.
Yeah.
They're just
See?
conjunctions. I'm just
See?
saying.
But what motivates you?
What I would tell you is that when you have seen really wonderful outcomes because of what I do in my personal life, and I'm able to help a family get to a better place, having advocated for them and represented them. You know, I represented a woman many years ago, had a lot of trauma. Children came into foster care. I was able to help her with getting all the services and advocating for her in that courtroom. And now, you know, we email. I emailed her a couple of weeks ago, and she sent me an update about all of her children and how one of them is a teacher and how one of them is literally going to a full ride in college. The other one has already finished college.
That's so dope.
And that they are amazing humans. And the only reason why she ended up being in the situation she was is because we had a system that failed her as a child, who did not get the help that she needed, the therapy and the resources, and naturally ended up in a system that, had she not had somebody who was basically, I mean, I was a 2-year attorney, didn't know what the hell I was doing, but I was going to work I was going to be very, very loud and vocal and an advocate for her, right? But I was able to help her through that. I can tell you time and time again all of the different stories that keep me hope in the courtroom and why it's so important for the work that I do in the legislature and making and working with my Republican colleagues in the House to pass one of the most massive child welfare reforms that has happened in the last 50 years. And it's going to change the lives of people. And so I can help one family at a time, which I do every single time that I'm in court. Then I can go to the legislature, pass legislation that helps hundreds of thousands of families, right? And so that impact is really meaningful, because then I can take my life experience and then put that into the legislature. The other thing that I would tell you is that there are some really amazing individuals who don't deserve what is happening to them. And they'll come and they will talk to you, and they will talk about their hearing experiences and the way in which they are working tirelessly in order to ensure that they can take care of their special needs kids, because we have cut funding in so many areas that they've had to give up their own careers so that they don't have to institutionalize their young children who have some pretty significant developmental disabilities. And you sit there and you say, for a country that has so much money, for a state that is so wealthy, we are turning a blind eye every single day to those who need it the most. And so if nothing else, I fill my cup by making sure that I remember why I came there in the first place. And I think one of the biggest issues that we have in the legislature is that there are some people who just, their entire identity is wrapped up in their existence as a legislator. And it's not going to be the most important thing that I do. It's a great opportunity for me to push legislation through. But as of right now, I think that I was put here in this moment at this time with the type of bullish leadership that I have to remind people that there are others that are fighting for you, and that it's absolutely incumbent for us to give people hope, right? And so I say, and they laugh at me all the time, but I'm like, if you see me with 2 black eyes, it's because I said it twice.
Word.
He is laughing over there.
He knows me. I give my staff probably heart palpitations all the time, because they're like, oh, is she gonna get canceled today for some shit she said? And I'm like, you know what? My husband would be more than happy if my tail came back to our law firm and made real money. He'd be like, please, someone unelect her already.
Unelect her. So
I have a feeling a lot of folks are going to hear this and will be very curious to see what your public presence looks like. You know, if this is how we're hanging out on the podcast, like what is a press conference like with Sydney Batch, right? So could you tell folks where to find you? And maybe also, like, I know the Senate Democrats are now like on social media as a caucus, right?
Yeah, that's the other bullish, crazy side of like what we've been doing, is that we have to get people, we have to do the right thing in the legislature, but we also have to go and meet people where they are, which is oftentimes in social media. And so we have NC Senate Dems HQ that people can follow. We, in a very short period of time, went from 0 to like over 17,000 followers in the last few months, and have grown that and had 2 videos that were watched over 3 million times. And so that's really important for us to get our narrative out.
And that's only happened this year.
And that's just happened
or in the
this year.
past couple of months.
Yeah.
Well, and then
and because we didn't do any of that before. We didn't have press gaggles. So, Senator Berger was somebody who would stand on the floor and only him would talk to press and say, you know what, this is the only thing that we're going to talk about. And you answer questions and no one else is actually around him and no one talks to the press. Like I said, enough sunlight for everyone, and I'm the smartest person in my caucus. So many of my caucus members come, whoever was speaking on the floor. We have press gaggles. We never had press gaggles before. And now we have more communication with news and print and media than we have ever had. And sometimes we're outpacing Republicans because we're showing up and we're telling people what happens. It's incumbent upon us. It's not the job of a constituent who's working 2 jobs and trying to keep their lights on to figure out what the hell we're doing in Raleigh.
Right.
Like, that's our damn job. And so it takes extra work, but that's what we're doing. So, I have social media friends for Batch. I am not PG. I am not G-rated. So if you have kids, please put it on. They usually bleep out my curse words, but I'm definitely
this
not.
Definitely isn't in this pod.
Well, yeah.
And so all the folks that listen to this in school drop-off line,
right?
Like, be warned.
There's definitely gonna be that E beside the episode on Spotify.
Yeah.
But we're at the end of
Usually
this warning's at the end. So
I'm pretty much E-rated all the time. So I mean, it's my 4-letter words are my favorite words.
Yeah. Well, I relate to that. So I'm just a local elected official. And when I got elected, folks were like, Quinn, and I'm like, I'm just gonna do me.
Same when we started this. I was like, Quinn, like.
So when we first started this, when I first got elected, like, I felt a way, right? I wiggled into it and it was like feeling, but then I was like, there are more people like me that say fuck and just be like, this is fucking stupid right now. Like, there's no reason that we shouldn't have a budget. And that use that type of foul language. We've gotten emails about like, you shouldn't cuss as much. And I'm just like, I get it. Like, I understand that's not your taste, but there are plenty of folks, and I'm not just trying to talk to those people, but that's just how I.
Well, that's just how you talk.
Well, it is. You balance me, Daniel.
Well, and also I would just say that in that grant, like, there are so many studies that say that we're more that we have higher IQs. Our vocabularies are higher if you curse. We are also more likable and trustworthy.
We're pain tolerant,
and we're pain tolerant as well. And the other thing is, like,
my vocabulary? I George Bush it a lot.
But imagine what would it be if you didn't curse. I mean,
it's Friday night. It's fine, whatever. But I would say that, like, people see authenticity, and it is who you are. And at the end of the day, if you don't like it, it's fine. But I tell people all the time, I always have a fuck on deck. So if you want to go ahead and get ready, let's go. But I'm not going to apologize. Never leave home.
That's just 2 things I'm going to leave this conversation with. I left with, I always have a fuck on deck. I really like that. But the other one that you said multiple times through this conversation, and I really liked it, because we've heard people talk about having a seat at a table and making sure everybody has it. You said there's enough sunlight in the room for everybody. And man, that feels like, I can feel that, right? And I can see that, and it's having enough sunshine in the room. I really like that, Senator Batch.
I appreciate it.
And while we're doing takeaways, I thought what you said about the seeing your politician as your spouse is actually that, because I'm constantly being like, see them as your employee because you pay their salary, they work for you. That's so much. That's not the spouse analogy is my new thing. I think that really checks out.
Oh, that's tough for me. I get it in that one, but there's zero fornication with my representatives.
What district are you living in, Quinn?
63.
Oh man, I was gonna make a District 69 joke there,
25.
and I will refrain. Anyway, Senator Batch, thank you so much for coming out and hanging out with us on the Hometown Holler. And folks, thank you for listening. If you haven't already, head over to our Patreon. We have a membership tier for every budget. And if you like what you heard today and want it to keep going, you can chip in. If you didn't like what you heard today and you want us to stop, help us get rich fast so we can jet really away. Good. And I'm just saying, either way, you got to give. Yeah. Because if you're sitting there at home thinking, I don't have to give, you do. Yes. So anyway.
Well, thank you guys for having me. I really appreciate it.
Cheers, y'all.
Thanks again to Down Home North Carolina for making this episode possible. Learn more about their work and get involved at downhomenc.org.